the hook. So schools no longer want well-rounded students. Instead, they want a well-rounded class made up of specialists. And normally specialists who can do everything. They tend to want more pointy people. You know, the best bassoon player in Iowa, the top swimmer in Switzerland. Okay? These are things that are called hooks. What's the hook? It's the reason why I'm taking you. And your son or daughter has to answer the question, I am the kid who, what? What is it that you've done? What is it that you've accomplished that's unique? And it has to be authentic, right? It's hard to fabricate a hook. It's got to be based on demonstrated pursuit of interests and passions. Because if they're not, when it comes to the application process, and you have to write your essays about it, you know, that love's not going to come through in the writing. And they can read that, okay? Another thing, too, about creating your hook is that all your application materials must support it. Bless you, okay? So that means your transcript, it means your test scores, right? It means your resume, or your activities list, as we now call it, right? If you say, I'm in love with medicine, and there's not a single thing on your resume to show that you've actually pursued that interest, it might ring hollow. And obviously, people have different resources, access to different opportunities, but if you really love it, or you're really interested in it, you will find a way to do something about it. Okay? Now, what are some hooks? Well, there's a few different kinds of hooks. The diversity hook, right? I was talking to a client in Short Hills earlier today. Her son's applying to private school, right? They happen to be Egyptian. One of the few Egyptian families in this area. They should obviously emphasize this in the application because I doubt they're getting a lot of Egyptian applicants. Okay? It's an example. Legacy hook. There are lots of schools out there, Penn and Yale being two of them, that are really into legacy. In fact, if you apply early decision, if you're a Penn legacy student and you do not apply to Penn early decision, they count it against you. Because Penn is all about the Penn community. Fine. That's the way it works. Okay, fine. Now, will they take you early? Well, different question. Okay? But they want to see that they are your first choice. All right? And if you go into the regular pool, you know, again, you know, they might discount it against you. Now, special talent, the top swimmer in Switzerland, right? My cousin grew up in this area. It was amazing. He's a really smart guy, really sweet kid. And he was one of like the 5 kids in the entire country who can blow like that huge like Swiss horn. Do you know what I'm talking about? Remember those old like commercials for Ricola cough drops, maybe 10 years ago? He was one of 5 kids in the country who did it, and he was amazing at it. It was nowhere in his application. It was listed, but it wasn't talked about in the essays. It wasn't positioned, right, as his passion. He applied to all the Ivy League schools, Stanford, MIT. He only got into Dartmouth. And this is a kid who wanted to go to Harvard. And I don't know if he was really a candidate for Harvard, but the fact that he didn't play up that special talent in his application was a real disservice. Okay? And also there's the academic hook. There are some kids who are just insanely smart and accomplished, right? They're the #1 math student in New Jersey. That's impressive, okay? So in thinking about hooks, there's certain kinds. Now, one more thing to say. There are no guarantees. You can be too good for some schools. There was a question earlier today in this morning's session about the student who got deferred from everywhere, then got into GW. And the woman who asked the question, you know, she was smart, and she was correct in asking if the schools that deferred him, like say the BUs and GWs of the world, deferred him because they thought he was too good and wouldn't actually consider him. And that does happen. Like for example, last year, are you all familiar with Babson College? Unbelievable school, the #1 entrepreneurship program in the country, recently named the best value college in America by, I believe, Money Magazine. Better value than Harvard, Yale, Princeton, name all those big schools, okay? Last year, Babson College had such an incredible influx of applications, all right? I had students with, say, 1850, 1950 getting in, okay, early, before they had this huge influx during regular. I had students with 2200s being deferred or waitlisted. Why? Babson didn't believe, based on their standard criteria, that those students were going to seriously consider Babson as a choice. They're like, oh, you're using us as a safety school. Fine. We're not going to say yes just yet. Okay? So again, no guarantees. You could be too good. One more thing about this too, a lot of people ask me about like the development hook that I didn't put on here. What's a development hook? Well, my uncle gave, $15 million to a school. I'm definitely getting in. I can tell you right now, not the case. I had a prominent family in New York City whose uncle gave $15 million to Penn. And it came for like, the nephew to apply, and all of his cousins went to Penn. But unfortunately, this kid was smart, came into the U.S., like midway through, I think, middle school, didn't speak English. To make a very long story short, his transcript was mainly C's. Okay? Even though his uncle gave this huge sum of money, Penn would not take him because he wasn't up to their standards. Right? Now, are there stories where these things happen? Of course. But again, there are no guarantees.